Here are your gap and go trades for the week of April 15th through the 19th. I will also have a gap recap for the week of April 8th through the 12th. Hi everyone, it's Dow on the Dow. First up is NIO. As you can see, we are still going down. There's a downward channel that we are stuck in. We ended the week at $4.11, down 7.85%. We are at the middle of the trend. To the north side takes us to 429 and resistance and a potential take profit area. 437 and another one at 445. To the south side, 398, 390, and 382. Looking left for your gap recap. This gap that I've talked about closed to the upside at 477. It opened up on the 27th of March. So this gap is no longer in play. I will delete the numbers here. So that was a win to the upside. Option R to help me reset that. Now, as you can see, there's a gap that is still in play for the upcoming week, and that began on the 20th, taking us to $5.19, but obviously not in the zone, not in the channel. And this gap developed last week, taking us to roughly 470, beginning at 467. This gap, we gap down, so I will anticipate a gap up when we finally turn around. But we are not in the channel, not in the zone. That will take us to 446. And I believe that is the end of the gaps to the downside. We obviously can't get any lower than we have for the 52-week low. Let me move. Well, I shouldn't say that. We could go lower, but let me move this to the 1 hour and see if there were any gaps that I marked out. No. Notice how many weeks I have tracked NIO, and it feels like we're bleeding out, doesn't it? The next one I'm going to go over is SOFI. Flip this back to the 5-minute time frame to give you some price targets. We ended the week at 733, down 4%. We are at the middle of the trend. To the north side, 748, 754, and 761. Ignore the pink lines. To the south side, those are my previous buy-in areas. 722, 715, and 709. Looking left for your gap recap. This gap to the south side touched and is done. No longer a threat to our account to the south side at 741. This gap opened up and will fill to the upside starting at 771. We are not in the channel, not in the zone, but something to be aware of. And this gap also opened up starting at 751, taking us out at roughly 763. Note the bounce at support to resistance, falling back down, back up to resistance, and then selling off. The next one is RIVN. To the north side, 928, 943, and at 4 standard deviations and another potential take profit area and resistance at 958. I don't think we're going to get that to that level on Monday, but you never know. And if we do, people will take their profits and they will run and they will lock in and leave you high and dry. 899, 870, 856, and 840. Now for your gap recap. Looking left. Let me make this just a tad bit bigger. This gap is still in, whoops, Command Z, reset that. Sometimes if you don't grab it right where it needs to go, it gets wonky. So that will take us out at roughly 1167. This gap is still in play, taking us out at 1108. Obviously not in the channel, not in the zone. We are still going down on the 5-minute time frame. Obviously you have to flip to the different time frames. You'll get different buy and sell signals, whether you're scalping or investing. Taking a look at the big picture on the monthly time frame, it's all going to be different. This one starts at 1042 to the upside, and this gap developed. We gapped down, so we will gap up whenever we turn around. I don't know why I have that in red. Should be green. We gap down, we will fill up. And so that is in play, but that is going to take a little bit to get back up to this level, but at 2 and -2 standard deviations all day long, but the calculations will constantly move on you. That's when you have to keep track of it if you're just doing short trades or scalping. I think I gave you the downward prices. I think 869. If I didn't, here it is, 855. I got sidetracked. 841. Note the bounce at support here and sell off at resistance. The next one is TSLY. I'm in this one, as you may recall. We ended the week at 1533, down 0.97% to the north side. I'll give you the price targets first. 1553, 1564, and 1574 to the south side, 1511, 15, and 1490. I do not anticipate we get to this level on Monday, but we are going down. So it is a possibility, but I don't think we'll hit that number just yet. And we've got a gap down here at 1469. It will close out. And this gap here is still in play, closing out at $16. See how it's hard to see these dots here? If you want to flip it over to this candle, that's a Heikin-Ashi, you can see it better. It smooths out the chart. So let me clean this up now. Oops. This gap, we gapped down, so I anticipate the gap to fill to the upside. This one did on Tuesday. So this gap is no longer in play to the upside. Delete, delete. This gap is a new gap from last week, and we closed out right here. So this gap closed to the upside at 1551. That can be deleted as well. This gap opened up, so that is still in play to the upside. Oops. Okay, and it starts at 1541. And then we've got this baby gap here that also opened up. Obviously, when you switch over to the Heiken Ashi, it will not show you the gaps. So if you don't want to see them, switch it over. But if you do, you want to flip it back. So this one starts at 1552. And we've got a gap here that will take us to 1469, as I mentioned, to the south side. But if we extend this, that is not going to happen until maybe, if we continue to go south, until the following week that we would possibly get there. The next one, Pfizer. We ended the week at 25.86, down 1.82%. Let me reset this, give you the numbers here. 26.21, 26.38, 26.53. Move that out of the way. 25.59-ish, 25.54, and 25.27. To the upside for this gap is that developed last week, still in play, starts at 26.59. This gap also developed. We gapped up, so I anticipate a gap down to close it out, that gap, and it did right here to the downside at 26.59. So that's no longer a threat. Intel 35.69 is where we ended, down 5.16%. Here are your price targets. To the north side, back at the middle of the trend and resistance, a potential take profit area, 36.04, depends on what price and where you bought in. 36.79, 37.17, and 37.53. To the south side, 35.29, 34.90, and 34.55. Ignore the horizontal lines. Those are previous support and resistance lines. Let me just delete that one since that interferes with my price. Now this gap, well, let me see if anything else. I'll flip this over so, yeah, nothing. This one developed on Friday. So we gap down, so I'll anticipate a gap up to close it out, whenever that may be. And that will start at 36.70, closing out at 37.60. I'm in NIO, SOFI, TSLY, Pfizer, Intel, BABA, Nike, Boeing, Tesla, and Apple, for either myself or for my mom. All right, that is a look at Intel. Again, right there, 35.26 and 36.79. Yeah, I did. Okay, the next one is Exelon. The gap that I originally tracked did close out. I'll talk about that in a moment. First, for your price targets, 36.82, 37.09, 37.37, 35.73, 35.47, and support 35.20. Now, looking left for your gap recap, this gap that I have been tracking closed on Monday, and that gap, look at this, I've been tracking for weeks and weeks and weeks. I started here, the 16th of well, no, it started here. And then I put it in my gap and go trades, but it actually started on December 15th, closed out. Now, so this gap closed out at 37.90. And this gap developed within this week, but that is not the gap that I was originally tracking. So I consider this done for me, and I'm going to find you a different gap to play. But obviously, if you are in this, this is a potential gap to the upside for you. So that's great news. Although we are still going down on the 5-minute time frame and the channel, you can see. So right now we have not steadied, leveled off, going sideways, barcoding, consolidating. And we need to see that and then slowly make our way up to see that there's a turnaround. Right now, we're in the dumps. But we happen to run up, and then what happens at resistance? You know the drill, right here. Boom, all the way down. And then consolidation. So this is done for me, so that's excellent. But I want to show you this on the daily time frame to show you how many weeks I've been tracking this. I don't know what is this. I'm not sure why I have this marked out. That is not the same as these lines. So let me just delete that. Don't need it, don't care. I just don't care. Remove. Okay. See this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 weeks it finally took to close out that gap. And then support and resistance lines here. RSI on the daily going down, so you can anticipate price to still continue to go down on the on the daily time frame. That's enough for Exelon. The next one, Schlumberger. Let me flip this. Look at how many weeks I've been tracking this gap. All right, back to the 5-minute to give you price targets. Oh, and I did not do one thing, which is put my horizontal lines. Let me move this. Oh, wait, I did do that. It's right here. Oh, that's slightly off. Right there. All I'm doing, again, is tracking for this week. Keeping it simple, just 1 week at a time here. Reset. So we are at $52, down 3.7%. Resistance and the middle of the trend and the baseline where price has to go to get to the north side, or if it's at the north side, it goes through here to get to the south side. You can't skip this part. 52.97, 53.86, 54.30, and 54.68. To the south side, 51.67, 51.21. Now for your gap recap. This gap, as you can see, has been in play for quite some time. It's like a magnet drawing you down. If I see that, I like to typically wait till we close out, if it's close, and then get in at that price level. Obviously, it can continue to bleed out, but at what point do you get in if this tells you also the RSI, the MACD, tells you to get in? That's something you have to decide. Do you think it's going to continue to bleed out or finally reverse course, if only for just a little bit? All right, looking left. This gap touched this level right here at 52.15, but unfortunately still in play, and that could potentially close out on Tuesday if we continue our downward path. And fortunately, this landmine closed out right about there at 52.60. Boom, done. 52.60, delete that. That is done. Goodbye. So, do we have a gap to the upside? And yes, we do. Look at that. That will take us to 56.39. Not in the channel, not in the zone, not even close. But I will anticipate a bounce on Monday because of where we are on the channel. Can I? Oh, I can't expand that. The trading view's gone wonky on me again. I move around too quickly and it just freaks out. 33 right now, and it looks like it's turning up. Okay, Baba. Oh, Baba. Still going down. Still taking us out. 71.29, 4.76% to the downside. This is where we are. First, your levels. 73.04, 75.06, 77.12. Oh, look at that. My lines disappeared. Did you see that? Okay. Command Z. Command Z. I'm going to keep going back. Oh. Did it work yet? No. This is annoying. Look at that. Oh, there. Finally, my lines reappeared. If you lose your lines, obviously you can go and redraw them, but it drives me bonkers. TradingView does. It's so sensitive. Okay, back to Baba. And let me start this again and go slow. Okay, 71.29, 72.98, 75.06, 76.11, 77.11, 70.84, 69.84, and 68.78. Note this, well, let's talk about the gaps. So this gap is an extension from weeks and weeks past that is still in play. Look at that. Still in play, folks. Okay, and we could, if we continue our path, reach that level. Where is, oh, am I covered? What happened here? Oh gosh. Well, let's just say it could touch sometime next week if we continue this path. And this one as well, we tickled it up here, but we didn't close it out. That's a landmine to watch out for. Okay, and this week oh wait, I extended it way too far, but oh, that's okay. All right, this gap is still in play to the upside. We're not in the channel though, not there. Well, let's see. Technically, we could touch it, but I don't know on Monday. That's asking for a lot with this downward channel that we're in. And then this gap is still in play. And okay, we've got a gap within a gap. Let's just extend this together and boom, we hit right there to the upside. So 73.30 we hit, and then we ran even more, but let me delete 73.30. See, we're down here and then we ran up to resistance, fell back down, sideways, back up. Okay, so this 72.99 is gone as well. And what about this 73 one? Okay, all you do is extend this, and we touched it right there. So boom, finally done. How many weeks was that? Lordy Lord. Okay, that's the bigger gap right here, and this is the smaller gap within that gap. Gets kind of confusing, but just draw it out and you'll see it. Okay, that's done. Boom. There are many gaps that I need to clean up looking left because I neglected this chart for a while. All right, what else? What else do I see? Oh, look at this one. Okay, so this gap from the week previous, look at, went all the way up, down, sideways, up, down, and then boom, look at that, we closed it out. I know you're thinking this is killing my account, but guess what? You need to be done with this because That will haunt you. This will no longer haunt you to the south side. You can anticipate it going to the south side, and I did. So I knew price was going to get me down to this level. Now, when are we going to rebound? That remains to be seen. Just play the price action every day within -2 and 2. Well, if you're down at -2 and going to the middle of the line, that's very conservative. You can always do that. But if you go from -2 to 2, you're in the trade typically longer. But look at this, we're still going down. Okay, going down. So we're close to this line. We'll probably touch it and bounce off of it or go down to the next support level, which is here, and then maybe bounce off that. This is not going to just bleed out and continue to bleed out. That doesn't happen. All right. I think that's enough for Baba. Nike. Oh, Nike was down in the 80s. Yeah, last week or something, and I saw that. I'm like, oh, I should get some more for my mom, but I didn't. I got so busy doing many things, including my taxes. Have you guys done your taxes? I have a comment about taxes at the end of this. It drives me bonkers. And I think you'll agree with me. Normal people will agree with me. All right. 92.29 to the north side. We ended the week at 92 even. That's an odd number too. That's funny. 94.07, 94.99, 95.85. Ignore all this stuff up there. To the south side. 90.50, 89.63, and 88.70, which I don't think we'll get to on Monday. A nice upward channel, finally, because we've bled out with this stock. I'm upside down, unfortunately. Some of it. All right, so those were your price targets. Now, for your gap and go, your gap recap, excuse me. Okay, we've got this big bopper up here, not in the channel, not in the zone, but it will tickle it. It could tickle right here on Monday and throughout the week as we go up, if we continue to go up. And that will take us to $100.78 that I've talked about previously. And looking left still. Now this gap, look at this, how exciting. Closed out, it didn't touch. I know it looked like it, it didn't. You've got to expand this to really see it sometimes. Right there, it touched on Friday, end of the week. Boom, done, remove. Okay, now we had this gap and an opportunity. I see these as opportunities, okay, to go to the upside, or if you like to go short, which I don't like to do, that's my buy-in. Short is my buy-in. Going short, I go short by playing SQQQ. All right, so we extend this. Boom, we touched up here at 90.85, and then we ran up here, didn't quite touch this line, but you know, got close. Can't have everything. All right. That's done. Now this bugger right here. Okay, if we touch this, it would be on Monday, and then if we continue to go up, it'll be at some other point in time. So this is at $90.83 beginning, but it will close out at $89.20. We just need to actually close this out. So I hope Nike tanks on Monday, okay? Just to get down here, finish it off, and then bounce back to the upside. Do I have any other gaps to the south side I'm tracking? No, I didn't mark anything out, so that's good. But we really need this one to close. It developed last week, and if it doesn't close out, it will haunt us later. So it's better just to be done and over. But we'll tickle it. We could tickle it on Monday. 89.20. I mean, if you have better adjectives, let me know. Or is that that would be a verb. Okay, whatever it is, you get the drift. Baba. Oh, Baba. Boeing. Oh, Boeing. Terrible Boeing. We ended the week at 169.55, down 2.20%. All right, your targets. 172.03, 173.43, and 174.77. To the south side, 166.64, 165.18, and not in the channel, not in the zone for Monday, but we could get there, 163.85 if we continue to go south. And look at this, 169.55. The low for the 52-week low, we got smacked, 169.37. I could have sold this at a 40% gain a long time ago, and I should have done it. It's like you just believe in a company or a stock, and then this is how they reward you. It's like that's why you think you just got to get in, get up, get out, and then just do it all over. Constantly repeat the process. But I know that overall, big picture, you do make more money if you can weather the storm and dollar cost average in on good quality companies. But the stock has taken a beating with all the bad things that have happened to it. Okay, well, that's it for Boeing. Tesla, still in a downward channel. Okay, 175.05, down 2.03% to the north side. 174.45, 176.10, 177.80, 167.62, 166.02, and 164.26 for your gap recap. Oh, look, I extended this from the previous week, and right out of the gate, we closed to the upside. So it touched on Monday right there. So that's done. All right. That was an easy range to play because we were right here. So that's just a small movement up. And then sell off at resistance. Okay, for the gaps. This we gapped up. So I will anticipate a gap down. Unfortunately, I'd rather not. When it comes to gaps, I mean, I like them to play them, but I'd rather not have them because what goes up must come down, and then what comes down will haunt us to the south side. Then you're like, oh, should I get out or do I wait and just dollar cost more average going down? That is the dilemma. Except for people who scalp and try to make money daily. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Get out. Okay. This will take us to the south side at 165.33. And this opportunity here opened up. We gapped it down, so we tickled it here, but didn't close out. So that will take us right there to 174. And then there, 174.45. Okay, that's it for Tesla. Apple. 176.55 is where we ended, up 0.86%. I have lots of shares of Apple. I'm deeply, deeply invested in this company. And we're finally turning around, but we tanked recently. Look at this, 52-week low, 162.80, and that was pretty darn recent. And it's like every time we see something high, unlike Meta, NVIDIA, you know, SMCI? I mean, it keeps going and going up and obviously, you know, falling back down. But Apple never runs like that. It drives me bonkers. I don't understand why. It never does. It reaches a high and then boom, flushes you down the toilet. It just doesn't creep up and up. Yes, they do do splits, which I've been involved in many times, and they don't want the stock price to be super high, so I think more people can trade it. But I don't know. I'd like to see this in the 300s. All right. I digress. I'm so sorry. Oh, yeah, I gave you the price targets, but if I didn't, 172.41 and 179.69-ish. Okay, that's your range. That's a safe range. Now, for your gaps, your gap recap. This gap touched right there on Thursday. So that's done. Delete, delete. Okay, and then we had this was the bigger gap, but we had a mini gap within the gap, and that touched, boom, right there on Thursday as well. So that's done. Delete. Okay, and then this gap that I forgot to mark out previously touched there. Boom, done at 172.22. Very nice. And then what is this line? Oh, that's the gap. That's the bigger gap. Oh, okay, look at this. It's like a triple whammy right here. That's like the probability of hitting is strong. You got 3 gaps. My goodness. Okay, this topped out at 175.01, and that finished on Friday, so done. See, we had that bigger gap, and then this gap, and then this gap right here. Okay, so where did this line? Okay, that line is gone. It gets confusing, but you just do one square box at a time, and it'll get you there. Okay, this little bugger I forgot to mark out previously, so that touched right there. I'm going to clean this up with you here in case you don't know how to trade a gap. I make it super easy. I color code it for myself. Okay, that took us down to 171.29. Boom, done. Okay. Oh, look at this. Oh, look at this bugger. So, if you thought that was the end of it, no. Look at that. Where did that take me? Let's go to the 1 hour. See, if you go to a different time frame, you can see the big picture. Look at this. Up, down, all around. Look at this. So this nasty thing. So this right here was 165.75 we touched, okay? But we didn't close it out, so that's why it still will haunt us. See, it almost touched, but it didn't. Bummer. All right, so that means there are opportunities to get in at an even better price at some future point. So that could touch, if we go, down, that could touch next week. Yeah, that's doable. And this one as well, but that's maybe more into from up there, maybe Tuesday if we continue to go south. Okay, and I don't even want to talk about this one, but let me just drag it across while I'm here. Bummer. That will take us to 145, which I have purchased at 145 in the past, a long time ago. And if we get there, I will be loading the boat again. This is how real wealth is made. I know it's scary when you're like, oh my gosh, everything's tanking. But they do pay a dividend. And the 1-year price target is 198.52. Let me go back to the 5-minute. Now, because I'm getting rid of Exelon, I'm going to put in VTI, Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund. And as Murat said, this is like lazy investing, which I love. Set it and forget it. So we ended the week at 253, down 1.44%. To the north side, back at the baseline. So from here to here, do you think we could do it? Absolutely. 253.72, 255.44, 255.90. This gap closes out at 256.75, 257.01, 258.11, 251.49, 250.43, and 249.31. So that is going to be, we ended the week there. So I'm tracking that period on the 12th. to the 19th, right there. All I'm concerned about is this window, and we're going down, unfortunately. I do have this for my mom, and she is up, fortunately, on this ETF. But if you want to play it safe, an ETF is a great way to go, laying the foundation for your future, for your investing future. You need to have a good quality ETF. All right, that does it for me. I almost put in NVIDIA again because there's a gap. So check that out. There was a gap on MU to the upside as well. So I never know what to put in here. So if you guys have suggestions for gaps that you want me to go over, please let me know. Thank you so much for watching and have a great trading week.